Please welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Stradat. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos and leave commentaries and also educate each and every one of ours, you guys are the real MVP. So guys, this video that has been going viral on my For You page, and I thought to share where this British man colored woman decided to come out to talk about how colonization was necessary, not bad, that a lot of people that looks like me actually benefited from being colonized. She goes as far as to talk about how people that looks like me should just, zip it with all of the cry and all of the shenanigans that has to do with colonization. Lovely. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright, lovelies, let's dive into it.
We now have a generation that believes everything we did by colonizing. Yes, it is true. They think everything about colonization was wrong. It wasn't. There were some terrible things and there were some good things to come out of it. And that is about properly acknowledging your past.
Education.
Yes, completely.
Sanitation.
Transportation.
There was so much that we brought to communities. But you see,
you're typical of what we're talking about.
No, I'm saying that colonization, the empire was wrong. It was wrong, full stop. That's, the thing that Britain might have done.
But that's very much through your modern sensibilities, you might say that, because we wouldn't now routinely go into other countries.
It was a profoundly racist set of basically invasions of other people, where we subjugated people to our rule and sort of made them work for us. It was completely
made their countries work.
But imagine yourself in the shoes of a 13-year-old boy hearing you say that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What do they then? How do they then carry that through life?
Well,
in terms of who I am as a Brit.
But it's not about.
We had racist ancestors.
Say it,
but Bev.
But I'm saying that we hear much more of that than we do about the benefits of that period of time.
Well, because I don't think there were benefits. I think that we have to be completely.
Of course there were benefits to us.
I don't think there were.
There were benefits to us.
A lot of those countries did not, Jonathan, those countries,
it absolutely does.
Those countries did not have money. They did not have the creativity. They did not have people in positions of power
of course they
to
had
do this.
creativity
No,
in
they
those
didn't.
countries. They just didn't. They just didn't live like Britain did. It doesn't make it worse. It just makes it different.
So it's okay to live without education, and it's okay to live without a transportation system, is it?
They did have education. It just wasn't our education system. They had language. It wasn't our language.
This cultural
medicine we brought to
precisely what we have.
Yes.
I don't know. Look, I don't know why we're even.
Take a seat. Let's talk. Cara Malone has been making her rounds in the media. She's a British commentator who got on national television on one of those networks over there. I can't remember, but it's on the screen. And she got on national television and she said that slavery benefited African countries. She said a lot of other things too, and I'm going to quote them. She said those countries didn't have any money. She said they didn't have creativity. She said they didn't have people in positions of power. She also said they had no education system. She also said they had no transportation system. You want to know the truth? Get my book, Lies America Has Told Black People. Now, what Cara Malone did not tell you, before Europeans stepped foot on African soil, Africa had universities. Africa had astronomy. They had medicine. They had architecture. Africa had mathematics, y'all. The same mathematics that they came and took. You remember that, Cara Malone? Irrigation systems. They had public bathhouses, toilets. Europe didn't even have toilets. They were still tossing their urine and such out of the window. Now, who was more advanced? And Africa was so far advanced for 4,000 years. Cara Malone was intentionally trying to rewrite history to make people like her with the colonizer mentality feel good about themselves, to make them look like they were good people. But instead they were thieves, they were liars, they were murderers, they were rapists. That's the truth. They were so enamored at the brilliance of Africa that they came and ravaged the land, took people into slavery, killed people, and transported people all across the waters so they can claim African spoil as their own. They wanted to rebrand everything that Africa had as their own. Their clothing, hello, Louis Vuitton, hello, Prada, hello, Fendi, hello, Givenchy, all these names, those were African patterns. You know that now. This is why I wrote Lies America Has Told Black People, because these are not just lies told here in America. These are global lies, y'all. And it's ridiculous because it's not the truth. You want to know the truth? Get my book. You can look in the bio, click the link there is at the very top. Get the book, read it for yourself. It's time that you know the truth, because they're going to continue to tell you lies. And if you don't know it for yourself, you're going to believe it. Get my book. Carol Malone, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. All right, come on in, take a seat. Let's talk. Carol Malone has been making her rounds.
I had no idea that you all were over there running amok like that. I actually think that the ones over here in this country have a little bit more self-awareness. Oh, and for the record, everything they mentioned, they got it from Africa and Asia. Infrastructure, architecture, hygiene. To this day, there are structures in Africa that have baffled everybody around the world. No one knows how all of those things were transported to those particular locations. And you want to tell me that you all somehow innovated transportation?
It was a profoundly racist set of basically invasions of other people, where we subjugated people to our rule and have made them work for us.
And bless him, he is clearly trying to help. You all didn't make us work for you. You depended on us. You stole resources, you stole knowledge, you stole art, you stole information. And to this day, you're still holding the majority of it in your museums and profiting off of it.
Imagine yourself in the shoes of a 13-year-old boy hearing you say that.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. What do they then, how do they then carry that through life?
Well,
So she's basically saying that she would rather us grow up believing that our ancestors were idiots who were akin to monkeys and cavemen, and then these light-shining, light-bright people came and imparted all their wisdom and knowledge, but at the same time beat us and subjugated us and all that stuff. She'd rather us at a 13-year-old living with that.
Those countries did not have money. They did not have the creativity. They did not without education, and it's okay to live without a transportation system, is it?
They did have...
I'm not so much as shocked because I'm upset. I'm more shocked because I have like this secondhand embarrassment. Like literally, I have douche bumps because of how do you get to that grown-ass age and are just this stuck up your own ass? I don't understand it. It's wild. If you want to believe that melanated people are beneath you, then sure, go ahead and do it. But you have to try really, really, really hard to ignore sound fact that is well established, that you all did not come first. And without everyone else, you would have never developed into what you have developed into. In fact, there is proof in several different parts in history that you all stifled the human race by conquering and destroying without actually knowing what it was that you were doing. There are technological advances that were lost in Egypt and in Benin simply because they were destroyed before the people who conquered knew what they were burning down. The people who brought Africans to America did not know how to grow anything. And when they got here, they depended on the indigenous people here to even tell them what to grow in the first place. I could go on, but I have resolved to say in 2025, If you wanted to, you would.
She's right to a certain extent. Hear me out. Colonization did have positive effects for those that colonized us. They benefited from it. We've got the crown jewels, we've got the British Museum, we've got financial gain that they have up until now in what they call the empire. So for them, obviously, it was a very positive. However, if she genuinely believes that colonization was positive for those that were colonized, then she is beyond Delulu. And the fact that she thinks sanitation and education is something that they brought, just because their education wasn't the English system doesn't mean that there wasn't an education in those countries. And sanitation, like, let's not laugh, okay? The West, up until now, we're begging you to wash your knees. So you definitely didn't have that. And most of the things that you use, even in your education system, are things that were stolen from other countries, whether it's Middle Eastern, whether it's African. Like, this is what the West has always thrived on. So the fact that you think that you've brought something new to the countries that you've colonized is just crazy to me.
Got this bit with full plastic face on GB News talking about, oh, we now got a generation who believes colonization was all bad. And then proceeds to say there were some bad things done by us, but guess what? There were some good things that came from it. And guess what she named? Apparently, sanitation, education, and transportation. She's literally a walking example of what came out from colonization. Saying this bullshit on a national television, but what do you expect as a GP News, but it still is a national television? Let me tell you a few things that colonization has brought to the world. Violence, poverty, extremists. And the West is still exploiting its former colonies. That's what colonization brought. The blatant disrespect and disregard, and how insensitive and comfortable she feels to say this. This is what colonization brought to the world. Wow.
The bad things that came from colonization, the good things that came from colonization. Let's be clear, you can never justify colonization because it was never about helping people. It was all about stealing resources, stealing land, stealing power with the use of violence. Take Congo, for example. King Leopold took Congo as his own personal colony, forcing millions of people into harvesting rubber against their will. And if they didn't, they were either tortured, their hands were cut off, or they were killed. Over 10 million people were killed during Leopold's reign. And this man was only in power for how long? Plus minus 20 years? Is that civilization or is it exploitation? Colonization caused so much pain, distraction, and generational trauma. And nothing will ever justify that. Ever. And that's on period.
I robbed your house, but hey, don't you like how your house is now decluttered? And by the way, I have now left those tools that I used to rob your house with because it was handy for me while I was here, but you know, I don't need them now, and it seems like your house need those tools, so I'm gonna left it for you. What did you say? You will be able to afford those tools someday with your own income? You with your dumb mind? I don't believe you. If it weren't for me, your shitty house with all these unsanitary rubbish, you won't be able to afford those tools. You are not capable of having them. You're not capable of introducing them to your house. I deliver them to you, so you should be thankful. And also at the same time, because while I was trying to figure out where the money is in your house, and I couldn't be bothered to read all those signs with the language I couldn't understand, so I forced you to speak my language to tell me where your money is. And hey, but now you're bilingual.
Everything about...
So, 3 ways that British colonialism apparently helped the countries that are colonised. Education, sanitation, transport. So let's look at how Britain is doing now in education. Education system is failing for 11 to 16-year-olds according to the House of Lords. Sanitation, not very sanitary, rivers full of shit. Transport, HS2 is cancelled, and we seem to have a huge problem implementing large-scale transport infrastructure. That's why, because she's so principled and consistent in her politics, Carol Malone is now arguing that Britain should be colonised by China. Except, of course, she fucking isn't. Because colonialism is never seen as something that should happen to us. It's never something that we would benefit from. It's only something that people benefit from if they're beneath us, if they're not capable of running their own systems. It's fascinating to me. The countries that have done incredibly well since colonialism, like Singapore, which has better transport, better education, and better sanitation than the UK, is not calling for the UK to come back again. Because they have those things because they developed them, not because we implemented them. India doesn't have railways now because we built them out of the goodness of our hearts. We started railways in India because we wanted to take more of their stuff more quickly, and they still have those railways because they have continued to expand them and maintain them. Colonialism is such a great thing. Why is it never suggested as a solution to the problems that we face? Why is it only a good thing for other people and never a good thing for Britain?
We are going to continue our conversation on the oppression of Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other women of color. And this is another article written by Jennifer G. The Patriarchy and Colonialism. Yeah. Removing Indigenous women from power was central to the colonizing mission. European colonialism was guided by the understanding that all women were inferior to men, and that Indigenous people, like Africans, were objects to be used, traded, sold, and given away, including for use as domestic workers. European colonizers imposed patriarchal structures that reflected their ideologies of male dominance. Patriarchy was present in the few indigenous societies that had class divisions and operated as empires, like the Mexica, known as the Aztec, but non-existent for most. The European patriarchal system actively undermined indigenous women's control over their own labor and resources, their sexuality, reproduction, and political, economic, and spiritual power. It attempted to eradicate any traditions in which women held authority. Many indigenous societies had matrilineal systems where women held leadership positions, influenced decision-making, and controlled resources. This contradicted the patriarchal ideas of European colonizers who sought to establish male dominance and control over land and resources. European colonizers viewed these egalitarian gender dynamics as threatening to white men's dominance, and colonizers deliberately targeted non-patriarchal gender roles when they made contact with indigenous peoples. For example, when Spanish settlers, missionaries, and soldiers arrived in New Mexico in 1598, they brought African and indigenous women servants, enslaved and indentured, with them. They immediately established systems of labor and placed the Pueblo and other indigenous women they encountered at the bottom of the social hierarchy. They also imposed their world views, demanding that they see sex as a sin rather than as natural, life-affirming, and sacred. But Pueblo women retained their power within their own communities, since it was rooted in their fertility and cultivation of corn. Their gender relations were based on complementarity rather than domination and submission. The Pueblo nations resisted in many other ways, including leading a successful rebellion in 1680 that drove the Spanish out of the region for several decades. Laguna Pueblo scholar Paula Gunn Allen has written, the colonizers saw, and rightly, that as long as women held unquestioned power of such magnitude, attempts at total conquest of the continents were bound to fail. That's why in later years they used white women to undermine indigenous women.
I was just listening to this lady, spill how she felt that colonization or colonizing Africa never had, it has a negative effect and also has a very positive one. She believes that, oh, it's brought about education, it's brought about civilization, and she goes as far as to talk about how it's brought about cleanliness. Cleanliness. Like, the worst part about this thing is that I just teached a video 2 days ago. Okay, let me just call it 4 days ago, where so many pan-colored people are reacting to the fact that they came across a black wash routine or something, bath routine, where they are so happy that black women is finally teaching them on how to be clean, on how to properly wash and take care of themselves. This woman is talking about how colonization brought about cleanliness. And in 2025, black people are still teaching pan colored people how to shower with a washcloth. Like, it is actually not wrong to learn. It is actually not really bad to learn something you are not aware of. But she forgot that in 2025, so many pan colored women are still praising, thanking women that look like me for teaching them how to properly clean their body, wash their body, use a washcloth to, you know, exfoliate your skin and moisturize it. So when you come out, somebody will just want to eat you up. But this woman talks about how colonization brought about cleanliness. So maybe because you think that because she herself, because I saw that a lot of pink color people who are sensible enough were actually trying to make her understand that what she is saying does not really make any sense. You know, maybe because she feel that maybe she's pan color, she don't need to take a shower or something. Automatically, you are clean. She even goes as far as to talk about how colonization brought about education, and I like the fact that, you know, a pan colored man was like, they had an education, but maybe they had an education of their own type. They never had your own type of education. So you people decided to come to Africa. Like, I used to tell my one of my colleague and friend that one thing about people that looks like me is that we are too accepting. Like, we love, we trust people a lot. We are too accepting, and that is why so many people get to us. Like, so many people get to black people because of our heart, because of the way at which, maybe because I saw somebody was like, black people are God people. Maybe because of the way at which we were created, we are too accepting, and people use that acceptance against people that looks like me a lot. People use the fact that black people are too, oh my god, just cry and tell them that you are sorry and they will accept you. It's even happening today. It is happening because of the ginger black people are ginger people are black. And you see the way at which people that looks like me are welcoming this ginger to their community. This is just how it all started. This is how colonization started. Let us take, for instance, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but this is exactly how colonization started. That's why I like the trend, but it's just too waiting. Let us take, for instance, these ginger people decided that, oh, since these guys have accepted us as black people, let us use the opportunity to colonize them. And that is just how it is. Because people that look like me are too accepting. They are God's unchosen people. But so many people will just use it against us. That is just the truth. That is just the truth. You know? And it is just so disappointing that this woman feels this way. She feels that humiliating people, taking people's properties, you know, stealing people's land with all manner of, atrocity that you committed, unaliving people actually brought what? It's actually beneficiary to the people that you took away all of their land and properties. What are you saying, Mr. Woman? Like, this is why so many of them don't have this repentant spirit, because they feel that they are doing us a favor. No, Mrs. Ma'am, you are not doing anyone a favor. You are not. And don't even think that your colonization brought about what are you saying? Cleanliness, education. What? Look at what is happening in Congo. Congo have all of the resources to be the richest country in the world. But because of your colonization, you are stealing from these people. And you call that beneficiary. What are they benefiting? What are Congo people benefiting from their God-given natural resources? What? Like, anyway, lovely. So just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. Lovelies, if you're not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, and also check out my my channel Ballistic Cheese. Sometimes some of the videos I put up here doesn't go through. I decided to just put it out there for you guys to see what is happening. Like, they limit us to put some things here, and that's why I'm able to put up the other Ballistic Cheese. So maybe follow, subscribe to that other channel, and also support the channel just the way at which you've done this one. And thank you, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.